Have you ever wondered about the moment everything changed for humanity? Not with a bang, but with a quiet shift in our thinking. Let's travel back in time, to an era when the world gave us everything we needed. Food was plentiful, water was pure, and survival wasn't a constant struggle. Early humans lived in harmony with nature, accepting its gifts without really questioning them. It was a life of simple abundance. But something strange happens when abundance becomes normal. The awe we once felt slowly fades into routine. Gratitude gets replaced by expectation. Imagine, for a moment, the day humans stopped being truly thankful. It wasn't a specific date on a calendar, but a turning point in our collective mindset. It was the moment appreciation soured into demand, when gifts started feeling like rights, and when the ease of life made us forget the respect we owed to the world that sustained us. This shift had profound consequences. When we stopped being thankful, we stopped being careful. We stopped protecting the very things that give us life. Think about it. From the food on our plates to the land beneath our feet, a sense of entitlement began to grow. Instead of valuing what we had, we started asking for more. This isn't a story about blame. It's about understanding a pattern that echoes throughout history and continues to affect us today. History is filled with stories of civilizations that rose on the back of abundance, only to fall when they forgot to be grateful. Whether it was the Romans, the Maya, or countless others, the cycle is eerily similar. They took their prosperity for granted, overextended their resources, and ultimately faced collapse. When the abundance disappeared, they were forced to relearn the hard lessons of scarcity and survival. It's a painful cycle of loss, struggle, and rediscovery. So, why does this ancient history matter to us now, in our modern world? Because that fundamental shift in mindset is still with us. We live in an age of unprecedented convenience. We can order food, water, and anything we desire with a simple click. The gifts of technology and global supply chains have created a new kind of abundance. But have we, once again, started to take it all for granted? Are we forgetting to be thankful for the complex systems and natural resources that make our lives possible? This isn't just a philosophical question, it's a practical one. Gratitude shapes our actions. When we appreciate something, we take care of it. When we take it for granted, we risk losing it, whether it's our planet's health, our social structures, or our personal relationships. A lack of gratitude can lead to neglect and eventual breakdown. The same pattern that brought down ancient empires could be playing out in our own time on a global scale. The good news is, we have the benefit of hindsight. We can learn from the mistakes of the past. Remembering this history, this story of the day we stopped being thankful, is a powerful reminder. It teaches us that gratitude isn't just a nice feeling. It's a tool for survival. It keeps us grounded, humble, and aware of our connection to the world around us. By consciously choosing to be thankful, we can break the cycle of loss and build a more sustainable, appreciative future. It starts with each of us, recognizing the incredible gifts we receive every single day. Thanks for watching. The first topic is when survival required no effort. Have you ever wondered if there was a time when just living wasn't a constant struggle? Imagine a world where survival didn't feel like a battle every single day. Let's travel back in time, way back, to when our earliest ancestors lived in a world where nature just provide. Picture this. Food wasn't something you had to risk your life for in a dangerous hunt. It was simply there. Luscious fruits grew wild on trees, ready to be picked. Animals moved in predictable patterns, making them easy to follow, not to conquer. Clean water sources were easy to find, bubbling up from the earth. Life was definitely uncertain, but it wasn't cruel yet. Humans didn't wake up each morning with the gnawing fear of starvation. The concept of survival existed, of course, but it didn't consume every waking thought. Nature still felt generous, like a benevolent provider. In these early stages of humanity, people lived in small, tight-knit groups. They didn't fight the seasons. They moved with them. When one area's resources started to dwindle, they simply packed up and moved to another that offered abundance. It was a nomadic life, guided by the rhythms of the planet. Rivers would flood, and instead of a disaster, it was a blessing, leaving behind rich, fertile soil, perfect for new growth. Forests regenerated faster than they were ever used. The planet was young, it was balanced, and it was incredibly forgiving. Back then, humans weren't rulers of the earth, but they weren't its enemies either. They were just another part of the intricate system, living in harmony, not challenging it for dominance. And because survival required relatively low effort, a sense of appreciation came naturally. Early humans respected what they received because they intimately understood uncertainty. A good season meant safety and security for the group. A bad one meant real danger. This constant awareness, this dance with uncertainty, kept gratitude alive and well. It was a communal existence. People shared their food without a second thought. They protected each other fiercely and stayed incredibly close to nature's rhythms. Survival was a team sport, not a cutthroat competition. No one took more than they needed, because the concept of excess, of hoarding, just didn't have any meaning. What would you even do with it? This created a powerful sense of community and a deep, instinctual respect for the world that sustained them. But then, something began to shift. This ease, this life, without constant struggle, slowly started to change human perception. It's a simple psychological truth. When something arrives again and again, reliably, it stops feeling special. What was once seen as a precious gift eventually becomes an expectation. The irregular appearance of food created a deep sense of comfort. And that comfort, while pleasant, began to reduce awareness. Humans stopped asking why things worked the way they did, and started assuming they always would. This change didn't happen overnight. It was a slow, quiet creep, happening over countless generations, completely unnoticed. As survival became easier and more predictable, human attention shifted. With basic needs consistently met, people suddenly had time to think beyond the next meal or the nearest water source. They began to explore, to experiment, to innovate. They started to settle for longer periods in one place, building more permanent structures. On the surface, this was progress, the dawn of civilization as we know it, but it came with a hidden cost. This growing distance from the constant, immediate struggle for survival weakened our respect for nature's limits. It's logical, really. When danger isn't breathing down your neck, your sense of caution naturally fades. A new generation of children was born into a world where abundance was the default setting. They didn't have the memories of hunger or the chilling fear of scarcity that their ancestors did. For them, nature wasn't generous. It was just reliable. It was a machine that always produced what their parents and grandparents once feared losing. This new generation simply assumed would be there forever. Think about it. Gratitude is always strongest when the memory of loss is fresh. When loss disappears from collective memory, thankfulness inevitably weakens over many generations. This experience of survival without effort fundamentally reshaped the human mindset. We stopped preparing for scarcity. We stopped valuing the delicate balance of the ecosystems we were part of. The very idea that nature could withdraw its gifts started to feel impossible, almost absurd. Abundance became the normal, expected state of life, not a temporary blessing to be And this, right here, was the foundation of humanity's first great mistake. When survival requires no effort, respect for the source of that survival, slowly, almost invisibly, disappears. And when that respect is gone, imbalance begins to take root. The fundamental laws of nature hadn't changed at all. Humans are they. And that profound change would soon demand a price that nobody, not a single person, was prepared to pay. The consequences of taking abundance for granted were just around the corner, waiting to unfold. The second topic is gifts that felt endless. Have you ever wondered what happens when something good feels like it will last forever? For generations, humanity lived with the gifts of nature, and they seemed endless. The food came back every season. The rivers flowed without stopping, and animals followed their ancient paths. This rhythm, this predictability, became our reality. We built our lives around it, and what was predictable started to feel permanent. The idea that resources could run out, the concept of scarcity, just slowly faded from our collective memory. Gratitude, that deep feeling of thanks, became quiet, almost invisible. We stopped seeing the abundance around us as a miracle and started seeing it as a rule, as something we were owed. It was a subtle shift, but it changed everything. When a gift feels endless, it starts to lose its emotional weight, doesn't it? People no longer pause to appreciate what sustained them. They just consumed. Nature's incredible generosity became background noise, not a source of awe and wonder. With this feeling of endless abundance came a new kind of confidence, and that confidence quickly turned into a desire for control. We started to alter landscapes, burn down forests, redirect entire rivers, and hunt with an intensity never seen before. At first, these actions didn't feel dangerous. Why would they? Nature seemed to just keep giving. Food still grew, the animals still returned. The whole system was absorbing the pressure we were putting on it, silently. But this silence was deeply misleading. We misinterpreted it as permission. We thought nature was okay with our behavior, that it approved. But in reality, nature wasn't agreeing. It was adjusting. It was compensating. Every system, no matter how vast, has its limits. The problem is, You often can't see those limits until you've already crossed them. As the gifts continued to flow, our expectations grew right alongside them. We wanted more. More variety in our food, more certainty in our supply, more comfort in our lives. Simple nourishment wasn't enough anymore. We developed preferences, and then we started to complain when those preferences weren't met. When abundance becomes the new normal, satisfaction becomes a moving target, always just out of reach. We started judging nature as gifts instead of just valuing them for what they were, source of our survival. The stories passed down from our ancestors, tales of hardship and hunger, started to sound distant, like myths or exaggerated fables. Any warnings from the past were brushed aside. Our own direct experience of plenty replaced their ancient wisdom, and a powerful, dangerous thought settled deep into the human psyche. It will always be this way. This belief fueled our expansion. Small settlements grew into permanent towns and cities, and with that permanence came a new kind of dependency. But it was a strange, inverted dependency. We stopped adapting our lives to nature. We started expecting nature to adapt to us. This fundamental reversal of our relationship with the planet changed the course of history, because when a balance that has existed for eons is suddenly shifted, consequences are sure to follow. You see, gratitude isn't just a feeling, it's an action. It's a behavior. It shapes how carefully we treat our resources, how much we value what we have. As gratitude faded from our culture, wastefulness took its place. Perfectly good food was left to spoil. Land was overused until it was barren. Animals were hunted far beyond what was needed for sustenance. Each individual act of waste seemed small, harmless on its own. But millions of small, harmless acts created an immense strain on the entire system. Nature doesn't punish us immediately. It has a kind of patience that we can't really comprehend. It waits. Systems break down slowly, and then all at once. We mistook this patience for weakness. We saw the continued abundance as proof of our security, as a sign that we were invincible. We were so confident. We didn't see the warning signs that were forming just beneath the surface, the cracks in the foundation of our world. This period was the absolute height of human comfort, a golden age right before the fall. The world was still providing, but the system was cracking. We had stopped listening. We had stopped being thankful. And here's the crucial lesson. When gratitude disappears, so does our protection. The gifts that felt so endless were never actually guaranteed. They weren't the right. They existed because of a delicate balance. And once we, in our confidence and our carelessness, disturbed that balance, the abundance that we took for granted began to retreat. We were about to face the true cost of forgetting where our survival really comes from. The third topic is the birth of human expectations. Have you ever wondered where expectation comes from? That feeling that the world owes you something? It wasn't always this way. For early humans, every sunrise, every hunt, every harvest was a gift. It was a reason for gratitude. But something changed. Expectation, as we know it, was born when that gratitude began to fade. Imagine this. A small tribe lives by a river. For generations, the river provides fish. At first, every catch is a celebration, a moment of thanks. But after hundreds, maybe thousands of successful fishing trips, the surprise vanishes. The mind adjusts. The river isn't just giving fish. It's supposed to give fish. What was once fortune now feels like a guarantee. An entitlement. An entitlement. This tiny, almost invisible shift in mindset marked a massive turning point in human history. At first, these new expectations were small and practical. People just assumed the sun would rise, the seasons would turn, and the animals would return. These weren't spoken rules, but they started to guide behavior. People prepared a little less. They grew a little more comfortable. They began to lean on nature, trusting it would always provide, without really thinking about its limits. And as these quiet assumptions grew, so did the potential for disappointment. When a harsh winter came and the animals didn't return, the tribe's reaction was different. It wasn't, what did we do wrong, or how can we adapt? Instead, it was, why has nature failed us? This was a dangerous reversal. The responsibility shifted outward. Nature, their partner in survival, was now seen as the problem. This is a pattern we see even today, right? When things don't go our way, it is so easy to blame the world around us instead of looking at our own role in the situation. This new mindset didn't just change humanity's relationship with nature. It changed relationships within communities. Think about it. When you believe abundance is guaranteed, Sharing feels less important. Why give away your food when you assume there will always be more? People started storing more for themselves, claiming more land, and protecting their resources more fiercely. The collective spirit that had ensured survival for millennia began to weaken. Fear of personal loss started to replace the strength of community care. Children born into this new world learned a different lesson. They learned routines, not reverence. They learned that survival was automatic. We often forget that gratitude is a learned behavior, often taught through the memory of hardship. When life becomes too easy, when challenges disappear, the lesson of thankfulness can be lost. Each new generation moved a little further away from the deep respect their ancestors held for the world. Expectation also reshaped human ambition in a huge way. Instead of adapting to the rhythms of nature, humans started trying to control it. We wanted consistency, predictability. We wanted nature to bend to our will. So, we pushed our fields harder, settled in one place for longer, and stopped moving with the seasons. We became more and more dependent on specific places and resources, tying our entire survival to them. And this dependency just amplified our expectations. When you rely on something completely, you demand that it be reliable. But nature can't make that promise. It's dynamic, it's wild, it changes. Humans, however, started to believe it should be predictable. This created a deep tension between humanity and the natural world, a conflict that we see playing out over and over again throughout history. It's the root of so many of our environmental struggles today. This growing sense of entitlement also made us blind. It dulled our awareness. Early warnings and subtle changes in animal behavior, the quality of the soil, the patterns of the weather were often dismissed as temporary glitches. People put their faith in the patterns they expected, not the reality they were observing. It was like driving while looking in the rearview mirror. This willful blindness, this trust in routine over reality, would prove to be incredibly costly. The birth of expectation wasn't a single event or a conscious mistake. It was a slow creeping change in mindset. It was a quiet, collective agreement that the world owed humanity comfort and consistency. And once that idea took root, gratitude started to lose its purpose. Why be thankful for something you believe you're entitled to? Thankfulness was slowly replaced by demand. But here's the fundamental truth they were missing. Nature responds to our behavior, not our beliefs. Expecting more doesn't create more. In fact, expecting more while giving less respect is the definition of unsustainable. The consequences weren't immediate. They were delayed, but they were absolutely unavoidable. This forgotten chapter of our history teaches us a simple but powerful lesson. When we stop being thankful, we start expecting. And when expectation replaces gratitude, our very survival becomes fragile. It's a lesson that is just as relevant today as it was thousands of years ago. What do you think? Can we rediscover that sense of gratitude in our modern world? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. The fourth topic is from gratitude to greed. Did you know that greed doesn't start with a desire for cruelty? It begins with something much more subtle. Taking more than you need, simply because you can. Imagine our ancestors living in a world of abundance. For a time, they felt secure, believing that nature's bounty was endless. This wasn't malice, it was confidence. But it was in that moment of overconfidence that gratitude began to morph into greed. Think about it. At first, taking a little extra seemed harmless. The river still flowed, the forests were still dense, and the herds still roamed. The world didn't fall apart overnight. This delay between action and consequence was dangerous. It taught humanity the wrong lesson, that limits don't exist. And once that idea took root, everything changed. Greed completely rewired how we measure value. Suddenly, having enough wasn't the goal anymore. The new standard became more. Communities started comparing their wealth, and social status became tied to possessions. What you had mattered more than what you actually needed. This shift in mindset was the fuel for a fire of exploitation that would spread across the globe. Land was pushed to its limits, animals were hunted to the brink, and forests were cleared at a pace that made recovery impossible. These actions weren't driven by a desperate need for survival. They were driven by a false sense of security. Humans felt protected by their apparent abundance, completely unaware that they were chipping away at the very foundation of their prosperity. This transformation also had a profound spiritual cost. Early human cultures often had a deep, emotional connection to nature, rooted in gratitude. Greed severed that bond. Nature was no longer a partner, a living entity to be respected. It became a resource, a commodity. And once you see something as just an object, it becomes expendable. Of course, there were warning signs. Seasons became less predictable. Harvests started to shrink, and familiar animals began to disappear. But greed has a way of silencing inconvenient truths. Instead of listening to these warnings and adjusting their behavior, humans did the opposite. They pushed harder. They developed more aggressive farming techniques, expanded their hunting grounds, and intensified their logging operations. They believed that more effort would solve the problem, not realizing that their effort was the problem. This vicious cycle only deepened the imbalance, pushing ecosystems further toward collapse. One of the most insidious things about greed is how it thrives on a short memory. People remembered the times of easy abundance, but they forgot the delicate balance and the hard work that made it possible. They forgot the cycles of nature, the need for rest and recovery, and the inherent limits of the world around them. Without the memory of fragility, there can be no restraint. This isn't just an ancient story, it's a pattern that has repeated itself throughout history. Civilizations built on the assumption of endless growth have consistently crumbled when that growth inevitably stops. From the Meons to the Roman Empire, we see echoes of this tale. The lesson is stark. Gratitude sustains, while greed accelerates collapse. Nature, you see, doesn't negotiate with greed. It doesn't care about our ambitions or our economic models. It simply responds when we take too much. It responds with scarcity. Only when the wells run dry and the fields turn to dust do we finally notice the consequences. But by then, the damage is done, and recovery is a long, arduous process. It takes far longer to heal a system than it does to break it. So, when we trace this journey from gratitude to greed, we see that humanity crossed a critical line. It wasn't a sudden, intentional leap into villainy. It was a slow, almost inevitable slide. Comfort blinded us to caution. Expectation fueled our consumption, and that consumption destroyed the very balance that gave us comfort in the first place. This brings us to the core of the issue. Greed isn't just about wanting more. At its heart, it's about forgetting what it means to have enough. When humanity forgot to be grateful, we forgot how to live wisely. The price of that amnesia has been written in the struggles, conflicts, and collapses of civilizations. And it seems that with each great loss, humanity is forced to relearn the same painful lesson, that true, sustainable wealth is found not in accumulation, but in gratitude. Thank you for watching. The fifth topic is the price of forgetting thankfulness. Have you ever wondered what happens when we forget to be thankful? It's not just a feeling we lose. It's a connection, and the price for forgetting that connection is always higher than we think. For humanity, this realization didn't come overnight. It crept in slowly, like a shadow lengthening at dusk. It started with small, unsettling changes. Crops, once reliable, began to fail more often. Animals, once abundant and familiar hunting grounds, migrated farther and farther away. Rivers and springs that had flowed for generations suddenly dried up without warning. These changes felt abrupt, almost like a betrayal by nature itself. But nature wasn't attacking. It was responding. It was reacting to a long period of human neglect, a collective amnesia of gratitude. Faced with these new hardships, how did people react? With confusion, then with anger. They looked for someone or something to blame, anywhere but within themselves. They pointed fingers at bad luck, unpredictable weather, or angry gods. It was a difficult pill to swallow. The idea that their own actions, their own attitudes, could directly influence their survival. Think about it. Gratitude had always been a quiet guide, a force for restraint. When you're thankful for what you have, you tend to take only what you need. But without that thankfulness, restraint disappeared, and when resources started to dwindle, human behavior shifted dramatically. The communal spirit that had held societies together began to fray. Cooperation weakened, replaced by fierce competition. As scarcity set in, trust eroded. Communities that once shared everything now drew lines in the sand, hoarding what little they had. Fear took the place of unity. Survival became a frantic individual scramble rather than a collective effort. This wasn't just a minor shift. It was a fundamental reshaping of human history. Conflict erupted where harmony once thrived. People fought over fertile land, scarce food, and dwindling water sources. The scarcity didn't just create problems, it amplified aggression. The compassion that gratitude once fostered was hardened by fear. Humanity had stumbled into a new era, an age where survival depended on defense, on walls, on weapons. Through all this, nature remained impartial. It wasn't picking sides or punishing anyone. It was simply withdrawing its support from a system that was no longer in balance. Forests thinned out as trees were cut down without a second thought. The soil grew weak and barren from overuse. Animals vanished from lands they had roamed for millennia. These weren't punishments. They were corrections. They were the natural consequences of taking without giving back. It was a hard lesson, and humanity learned it late. It was only when the abundance was truly gone, when the bellies were empty and the future was uncertain, that gratitude began to creep back in. It was born not from plenty, but from suffering. The pain of loss was a stark reminder of what they once had, what they had taken for granted. This pain, this harsh reality, finally restored awareness. If you look at the grand sweep of history, you see this pattern repeating itself in civilization after civilization. Every great collapse, from the Mayans to the Roman Empire, carries a similar message hidden in its ruins. When people forget to be thankful, the systems that support them, be they ecological, social, or economic, begin to fail. And when those systems fail, survival itself becomes fragile. This forces us to see gratitude in a new light. It's not just some feel-good emotion or a polite thing to do. It is a form of survival intelligence. It has the wisdom to recognize that our well-being is tied to the health of the world around us. This realization, forged in the fires of collapse, slowly transformed human thinking. People learned to store food for the lean times, to respect the cycles of the seasons, and to understand their own limits. Some societies adapted, weaving these lessons into their culture. Others ignored them, clinging to old habits, and eventually, they vanished from the pages of history. History, after all, remembers the survivors, not the ones who just assumed the good times would last forever. So the price of forgetting thankfulness wasn't just hunger or hardship. It was fear. It was conflict. It was profound instability that echoed for generations. Humanity paid for this lesson with lives, with entire cultures, and with centuries of struggle. What was once freely given by nature now required immense effort. What was once a gift now demanded sacrifice. This brings the cycle full circle. Abundance created comfort. Comfort erased gratitude. The absence of gratitude invited collapse, and collapse, in its brutal way, forced humanity to learn again. We survived, but we were changed. The lesson, however, remains unfinished. Even today, in our modern world of unprecedented convenience, we see this pattern playing out. When things feel secure and comfortable, when our needs are met with the tap of a screen, thankfulness can fade into the background. And when thankfulness fades, imbalance begins to grow, whether it's in our environment, our communities, or even our own mental health. History isn't just a story from the past. It's a mirror showing us the consequences of our choices. The day humanity first stopped being truly thankful wasn't the end of the world, but it was the beginning of a long and difficult struggle. It was the moment survival stopped being effortless and became something that had to be earned, day after day. And that price continues to shape the human story, reminding every single generation that gratitude isn't optional. It is essential for our survival, for our balance, and for our future. Thank you for watching. If this story resonated with you, consider subscribing for more explorations into the big ideas that shape our world.